guys, today I am back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about how to prepare for your interview. So I know it's recruiting season is going on. A lot of people are doing interviews, whether it's for Big Four or public accounting or industry, and I know it can be stressful, so I definitely wanted to give you some tips on how to ace your interview and give you a little bit of my experience and my process. So let's go ahead and tune into TiaTV. If you haven't watched my video on how to get an internship, I suggest that you watch it because I talk about some really important things in that video, and I'm going to expand on interviews in this video because in interviews is what sets you apart and determines if you get the job or the internship. So it's so important that you make sure you ace it. First things first, if you haven't watched my video, I talk about your values. So I would say before you even start to think about how to answer your interview questions, you think about your values. Write down your values and what do you want in a firm. What type of firm do you see yourself in? Do you see yourself working in public accounting? Do you see yourself working in industry? What's important to you? Is the work-life balance important to you? Do you just want to get experience in both of them? So say maybe you want to start at public accounting and then move on to industry, which a lot of people do. A lot of people just get a little bit of experience at public accounting or Big Four period and then just move on to industry. You can definitely do that. So figure out what do you want in a firm. Next, I would say determine the culture at the firms that you're interviewing at. So say for instance, while you maybe at a career fair, this is how you're meeting all of these different companies. As you're talking to these companies, figure out, get a feel of the persons, or if you're talking to multiple people, get a feel of the people that you're talking to, and you will then be able to get a better feel of the company once you do your office visit. So that is very key. Get a feel of the culture of the firm and then their values. Compare their values to your values. Okay, y'all, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty on how to ace the interview. Okay, so if you don't know already, behavioral interview questions. Oh my gosh. I interviewed for both public and industry, but I chose to go into public accounting. I will be working at a Big Four. And I can say both of my interviews were behavior type questions, but I actually felt like my industry interview was harder than my interview for a Big Four accounting firm. I feel like my Big Four accounting firm interview was way more relaxed. It was like a relaxed vibe. It was pretty chill, and it was just really a conversation. Versus my industry interview, I felt like I really had to go for it. Like it really kind of caught me off guard. When deciding between public versus industry, I would say that public accounting took more hires over industry accounting. So maybe that's something you could look at. Maybe that's something you're like, oh, they're not taking that many people, I'm feeling a little discouraged. Still go for it, but also have that backup too. So you just never know. You want to have that safety net because you never know what's going to happen. All right, y'all, so let's get into these behavioral type of questions. So when I prepare for my interview, what I would do is I will Google behavioral type questions. So if you don't know already, behavioral type questions are those questions that's like, describe a time or give me an example of, tell me about a time those type of questions that you're like, dang, let me think, No, you need to already have the answers to these type of questions. So it is a certain way that you should answer these behavioral interview questions. And that is the STAR method. If you haven't heard of the STAR method, the S stands for situation, the T stands for task, the A stands for action, and the R stands for the result. So with the situation, self-explanatory. Describe what happened, describe what took place, basically just that. And then the task, what specifically responsibilities did you have? How do you relate to this situation? And then action, what actions did you take to resolve the problem, the issue, or what was the result? So what happened? How did it end? And maybe they ask name a time that you failed or give me an example of a time you failed. always end on a positive note. So you done went through, you done gained what happened, your responsibilities, what did you do to fail, and then what was the result of that. And the result of that, think about, oh, although I did fail at this, I learned so and so, or it taught me this lesson. So that is some key things to take. You want to be positive, even when maybe they ask about your strengths and your weaknesses. List your weaknesses, but also list how are you working to better yourself and your weaknesses. So I would always say that I'm quiet and I'm shy and I'm not a talker and stuff. But I would also say that I'm working on it by putting myself out there, or maybe I'm trying to present more, just certain things like that, just how I'm working on it. So with behavioral type of questions, they're just trying to figure out how you react in certain situations. If a situation was to happen on a job, how would you react? And that's just the bottom line. So it's nothing to be just super nervous about. As long as you go in with confidence and you already have answers to these questions, then you'll be good. So I would suggest, here's the tea, you guys. Go on Google and type in behavioral interview questions, right? And so you've heard these questions before, you've answered these questions before, but now just try to think of answering it on a higher level maybe. So what I would do is I would go on Google, write down I want to say a bunch of interview questions, but I would write down key interview questions, like stuff that you typically always hear about. That's what I would write down. So like, name a time I failed, name a time I had to lead a group, things of that nature. So I would write all of those down. Then I would think of situations that I've been in and how I can answer this question. So maybe I would try to do, if I had worked at multiple jobs, I would try to have a situation from every job. Or it doesn't necessarily have to be from a job. It can be from a group. I did that. I think it was name a time you led, and I talked about leading a group in class. So it's just things of that nature. Maybe you've never worked before. You've never done an internship or anything. You have no work experience. You kind of have to use your life experiences, and you have to get creative. So maybe, okay, I remember this time I was in college, or maybe you're in a part of extracurricular activities. You're a part of organizations. Use those experiences to help you answer these questions. So I would say do a mix of both. If you have experience in both, do experiences from your related work experiences, and do experiences from like extracurricular activities and organizations and things of that nature. Behavior interview questions is basically the gist of your interview. In those behavior interview questions, they're also trying to get to know you. So your personality needs to shine through, because they're trying to see, can you fit in our company? Do we think you can be a part of our culture? And if they don't, then you might not get the internship or the job. So you want to make sure your personality is shining through. Next is, they're just trying to have a conversation with you. So have a conversation with them. Ask some questions. Maybe you can get information about the company and about them and their job just by asking them questions. Maybe you don't necessarily know if you want to go into audit or tax. I would ask them about that. Like, what's the biggest difference between audit and tax? What made you choose audit over tax, or vice versa? Do you think one is harder? Just things of that nature you can ask, just to kind of get a feel of what you want to do. You want to get a feel of the company. Another thing is, if you get asked a direct question, and I mean if you get asked a question to where it's a yes or no question, always follow up with an explanation. So you don't want to just say yes, no, and then y'all both just sitting there looking at each other like you don't want to do that. So make sure if you get asked a direct question, you also have an explanation. Yes, because, or yes, and this is why, or no, whatever it is, have an explanation, not just a yes or no answer. That's just, don't do that. I will also say, some people get asked accounting type questions. I didn't, and I'm glad that I didn't, because they probably would be like, is this a debit? Is this a credit? And I would be like, cool. But you definitely want to make sure that if they do, you might want to be prepared. They may ask you about audit, about tax. They may ask you, what do you know about it? And if you don't know nothing about it, how do you know you want to go into it? So be prepared for that type of thing. They may ask accounting type questions. I cannot prepare you for that. Nope. Ask your professor, you know, ask your peers, because I didn't get to ask those type of questions, and I honestly don't know what I would have done. Depending on the question. Maybe I would have been able to answer the question, maybe not. It just depends. Towards the end of your interview, they're going to ask if you have any questions for them. And remember, I said you need to have questions for them. So how would you think of questions to ask them? Go on their website. This should have been the first thing you did. But go on their website and just research their website. Maybe something recent happened that was in the news. Maybe a big event happened. Just research their website and just see what's on their website and get questions based off of that. That shows initiative. That shows that, okay, you actually researched our company and you seen this. I think I asked about their forensic program, because that's something I'm interested in. I really, you know, I'm into fraud, forensics, and stuff like that. So I'm interested in it. So that's what I did. I went on their website and I asked about that. They might not necessarily know the answer sometimes, but they can put you in contact with somebody who does know the answer. So I did that a lot when I actually got on my internship. I asked plenty of questions and I got to network a ton. I knew people in audit, tax, forensics, advisory, all of that. Like, I made sure I had those connections and got their contact information. So yeah, so they can have questions for them. Ask a question that will make them think that you were listening to them during an interview. Well, you should be listening. But, like, say, for instance, they said something about themselves, like, real quick, like, but you caught it. At the end, ask them about that. That makes, like, oh, you were really listening. Like, it's just little certain key things that you want to set yourself apart. And so you want to make sure you have an answer to every question that they ask. Every single question, have an answer. If you can't think of an answer, try to say, like, that was a really good question. Let me think about it. Think about it for like 2 seconds and then hurry up and answer. Like, don't sit there and pause for a really long time. You know, don't be awkward, you know. And I know it's really nerve-wracking and you're nervous because you really want this internship. You really want this job. You really want to get the experience. But just relax. Have a conversation with them. They're a normal person. All they're trying to do is just get to know you to see if you fit in the company. You just want to make sure that you research the company, you have an answer for every type of behavioral interview question, and that you have questions for them at the end. And that's about it, you guys. I just wanted to give y'all some simple tips on how to prepare for your interview. And I just want to thank you guys for tuning in to TiaTV. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all want to see. If you haven't watched my previous video, I just took BEC, so I probably will do an updated video on that, because I've been getting questions about how did I prepare for BEC, and how did I study, how do I feel about the content, the exam. You know, people have been getting nervous, so I probably will do a follow-up video. So definitely continue to follow me, follow my content, so that you can see what I'm up to. Thank you, guys.